Hey guys, I'm going to break down a viral clip between Jordan Peterson and Parker on Jubilee. And they were debating the idea of morality, whether or not you need to believe in God to believe in morality. And I thought it was quite confusing. So I wanted to take you through it and explain what they were both saying. Because I think what Jordan Peterson was saying is quite hard to understand, and I just want to explain what both sides of the argument were trying to say.
How you doing?
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I guess since you said morality and purpose cannot be found in science, it would just depend on like what you're referencing. If you're saying a description of your psychological preferences would be considered within science, sure, but I don't think that you have to say that it comes from science in order to be like an atheist. As an agnostic atheist, I don't know if God exists and I don't believe that a God exists. And the only ones that I would really reject would be like the all-knowing, all-powerful, all-good, perfect notion of God that plenty of Christians like prescribe themselves. So I guess
How is that relevant to this claim?
you're basing a position of morality and purpose in some like notion of God that isn't the same type of notion of God that typical Christians would prescribe. Your notion of God is
What typical Christians?
yeah, typically when I talk to Christians, they say that they believe in an
How
all-knowing.
about Cardinal Newman, who defined God as conscience? He was a major influence on all of Catholic social theory. How about that Christian?
Sure, so do you believe in the all-knowing all?
Okay, just to explain what happened, if you're confused, that's normal because it is confusing. The way Jordan Peterson debates. Basically, Parker was saying that you, Jordan Peterson, don't believe in the regular God that people believe in. And Jordan Peterson is trying to say, oh, you need God to have morality. Parker is saying back, but you yourself don't believe in the normal God that people believe in. So how do you have morality? And then Jordan Peterson is saying, what do you mean? No, I do believe in God, and I'm going to change what God means. I'm going to define it as conscience, which is what I guess a cardinal believes. So does Jordan Peterson believe in the typical concept of God? No. But so that's really what Parker's saying. He's saying, well, you yourself don't even believe in like the typical concept of God. I mean, the truth is it's really just it's not so relevant to what Jordan Peterson is talking about. It's more just he's saying you don't believe in God, you believe in this thing called conscience, which is his source of morality, Jordan Peterson's. It's just more of like a side question. I think Parker probably just wanted to ask this to Jordan Peterson, regardless of his claims. So let's keep going. So in short, to summarize so far, Jordan Peterson is saying he does not believe in the typical God. And we're going to see, they're going to flesh it out a little bit more. Let's keep going.
Powerful, all-good notion of God?
What do you mean by believe?
Do you think it to be true?
That's the circular definition. What do you mean
How
when
is
you
that
say
circular?
you believe?
How is that circular?
Because you added no content to the answer by substituting the word true and believe.
I said you think it to be true.
All right. So if
What's
you
a belief?
believe something, you stake your life on it.
What do you mean by that?
Okay, just to pause. They're really getting on a tangent, and because I think the truth is like Parker came in with this, he wanted to ask this question to Jordan Peterson. Like you don't believe in typical God anyway, so everything you're saying is not relevant. Um, and Jordan Peterson now says, what do you mean by believe? Well, I think we know what we mean by believe. It's pretty obvious, right? Do you think it to be true? What Parker said. So Jordan Peterson said that's circular because you just substituted the word true for believe. I don't think that's true. Like, do you think it to be believe? That's not the word true is not a substitution for the word believe. It's definitely not circular. Um, every time you give a definition, you're gonna have to use words that can be interchangeable. Um, so in some sense, all definitions are circular, but this is not a circular definition. I think Jordan Peterson is probably the truth is it's a problem what Jordan Peterson does. He tries to avoid the questions. So um now they're gonna talk about what does believe mean. So Jordan Peterson, that means you would die for it. So let's keep going because this really goes off on a tangent.
You live for it and you die for it. That's what I mean by that. It isn't something that you say. It isn't something that's associated with logical consistency. It's not declarative. It's not propositional. It's not a figment of your imagination. It's the presupposition of your attention and your action. And you're either fragmented, in which case you worship multiple gods, or there's some unity at the bottom of it that makes you an unstoppable force.
Okay, so you're saying that you don't believe something if you wouldn't die for it?
Not really, no.
Okay. So then,
how would you define belief? Something you say?
Can I explain? Like, I could believe it is the case that this pen exists, but if someone like threatened my life, right, I would lie in order to be able to save my life, right? Like, I think you would do that too. You wouldn't lie to save your life?
Don't be so sure.
You wouldn't lie to save your life?
How much do you know about me? I didn't lie to save my career. I didn't lie to save my clinical practice.
Would you lie to like save your children, your mom, your dad?
I don't think lying would save them.
No, can there ever be a circumstance logically that lying could save someone?
Yeah, and if you're steeped in sin, you're likely to live in circumstances like that.
I'll give you an example. If you're like in like Nazi Germany.
Okay, before this goes off the rails, so they're talking about whether or not you need to believe in something, whether or not you need to be willing to die for something to believe in it. So I think there's a problem here. Parker's not understanding. Okay. If I give you a choice, okay? You let's say you're sitting down on a chair, right? Do you believe that the chair is here? Or let's say there's a table in front of me, right? Or this microphone. Do I believe this microphone is here? Of course I do. Now, somebody asked me, would you be willing to die for that belief? So the answer is let's just say no, I wouldn't. I still think it's true, but now let's say here is the question. You're going to die if you're wrong. So the question is the microphone here? If you get the wrong answer, you die. What are you going to say? I would say, yes, I think it's here. So in that situation, I was willing to die for my answer. Meaning, not that I would optionally decide, oh, let me die if I'm wrong. No. What Jordan Peterson is saying, what you really believe is what you would choose if the wrong answer would lead to death. So, meaning, if you have two choices, choice A or choice B, and the wrong one is death, then you'll see which one you truly believe in by you choosing what you think is true. So, not to say that you have to be willing to actually die for that belief in terms of optionally, but you're willing to die if the situation was like that. Now, they're going to talk about hypotheticals like, oh, well, is there ever a situation where it's moral to lie? Of course there is. Now, I think that's missing the point because it's not about whether or not there would be this hypothetical where you should lie. I think it's more about what do you believe in if the wrong answers would lead to serious consequences. So if there were no consequences, it's hard to know what you believe in. So I think the point is this, because Jordan Peterson likes to say that even atheists, they might not believe in God, but they do act as if he exists. Meaning, do they act as if there is this all-good, all-powerful, all-knowing God? Well, sometimes yes, because they are good people and they won't they won't commit murder. Now, the counter-argument to that would be, well, we just think it's good. Jordan Peterson would probably say back, well, that's acting as if God exists, so that might be considered believing, because belief is not necessarily what you think to be true, more about what your actions actually show. I don't really agree with Jordan Peterson. I think you could believe in something and not necessarily act with it. I think there's people who believe something is the right thing to do, and they don't do it all the time. I think there's people who believe in, they might act as if something is true, but they're doing it for a totally different reason. Like atheists might act as if there's a good God out there, but like they might be acting not because they believe that. So I don't really agree. Let's just finish off this segment because it gets a little bit whacked over here because they start talking about Jews in Nazi Germany.
And it is the case that there's like Jewish people in your attic and you're trying to protect them,
example.
would you lie to like the Nazis? If
I would have
asking?
done everything I bloody well could so I wouldn't be in that situation to begin with. It's a hypothetical and it's
You
not
can't answer
answerable.
hypotheticals?
No, I can't answer a hypothetical like
What?
that because
Did
it's
you eat
far.
today?
Look,
Did you eat
don't
today?
play games.
I'm not playing a game. I'm just asking
Yes,
if you
you
ate
are.
it.
If you present me with an intractable moral choice that's stripped of context and you back me into a corner, you're playing game. I just told you
Hypothetical.
I would do everything that I could to make sure that I'm never in that situation. By the time you've got there, you've made so many mistakes that there's nothing you can do that isn't a sin.
Being born in Nazi Germany and trying to protect people that you care about, like there could be a Jewish friend that you have and you want to protect them.
I think you should
have
just
them in
give
your
up on
attic.
that line of questioning.
Give up on just like trying to clarify your position? Because you
I
don't
did
like, are you like
clarify.
uncomfortable with me asking this question? It's just a basic hypothetical. Like I could ask you.
It's just a basic hypothetical where you put Jews' lives at stake in Nazi Germany. That's just a basic hypothetical.
Obviously, you would lie in that scenario to save their life, but you're like not trying to answer this question for some reason.
I just told you why.
Are you anti-fascist? Like, so you're
Why are
anti-fascist?
you asking that?
I was just asking, just clarifying. But like,
That's actually hysterical. I don't know what the purpose of the anti-fascist question is. It's just so funny. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I don't know what Jordan Peterson is thinking right now. Like, seriously, makes no sense to me. I don't know what's wrong. I'm Jewish. I don't feel offended by his hypothetical question. And I think this is hysterical.
okay, again, you're not answering this hypothetical because you know it shows that you clearly would lie to save
I'm
someone's life.
answering it in
Obviously,
a
that's
manner
not what
you
truth
don't
is.
find acceptable.
Obviously, because I care about truth.
I wouldn't be in that scenario.
Obviously, right? Logically, because that's
No.
already happened. Like that's in the past. You don't have a time travel device. We're bringing this logical hypothetical up to show you that in some circumstances that do happen within the real world, you would lie to save people's lives. So your definition of truth isn't actually how we're typically using it. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to muddy the waters when I ask you, like, do you believe this? Do you think this to be true? So you don't actually have to answer the questions. And plenty of Christians don't like that because they clearly see that you don't really like want to be associated with
I can
Christianity. with that
imagine
respect.
that I was in a situation where the best I could do as a consequence of my previous mistakes was to tell the least amount of lie I could manage. But that would likely indicate that I had made all sorts of catastrophic errors on my way there.
So
Right.
you would lie to save someone's life. So again, you do believe it to be true in that circumstance, even though you like lied in that scenario. So
Not
clearly that's
without
not what
the
you see to be true.
context that I put it in.
You were not willing to die for it.
said-
You were not willing to let other people die for it. So that's not what you see to be true then, seemingly.
You're doing exactly what I said you were doing at the beginning of the conversation. You're generating an impossible, restricted, hypothetical with no precursors to back me into a
How is
corner.
it possible? Is there something contradictory about it? Nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you too.
Great
Yeah,
conversation.
yeah.
Okay, well that wraps it up. I think Jordan Peterson was in a bad mood, honestly. I don't think that he particularly did well with the debate. I think Parker beat him down. I do think though that there really is two sides to the debate. I don't think that Jordan Peterson presented his side well at all. He wouldn't talk about the hypotheticals. There's nothing wrong with hypotheticals. I think that Parker did well. I think that he maybe I mean, I don't even know if Jordan Peterson was trying to make this point, but I think you know, I thought Jordan Peterson was trying to say belief is more about, you know, what you would be willing to do if you had to choose and there were dire consequences. That's what you truly believe. So that's true. You know, if there are no consequences and you say, oh, I think this microphone is not here or it is here, right, what you're saying is not so like significant. But if there are consequences, oh well, then it becomes a belief. Then you know this person actually believes it, and you can even prove to yourself. So now, are there situations where you would lie about that? Yeah, but for the most part, you're gonna say what you believe in. Yeah, there are some times where you would you would lie even if you think it's, it's not true. Um, uh, to save someone's life. Of course, you would lie to save someone's life, but generally speaking, you would what you're saying is, um, if given that the consequences of both, right? It's all about if the consequences of both beliefs, whether this microphone is here, whether it's not here, if the consequences of both of those thoughts are equally dangerous, then what you choose is going to be what you believe. So I think, um, yeah, that the point is that like sometimes people say they're atheists, but they don't act like it. I don't think even in that form, right, of the argument, which was what usually Jordan Peterson tries to do. I don't think it's a great argument. I think it's wrong, and I think Jordan Peterson had a bad day, and I do think he likes to just avoid like answering questions and tries to question definitions. And yeah, that's my thoughts.